Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to another episode of the Black Family Financial Podcast. We are your hosts, Lawrence Watkins and Jullien Gordon, and we're very glad that you guys are with us today. We have a very interesting show for you. A lot of things have been popping off at the Black Business School and the multifamily movement that Jullien's up to, and many other things as well. But yeah, man, we finally got a chance to break bread in person a couple weeks ago.
Yes. That was so awesome, man. So the Black Expert Empire, all the members of that mastermind came down to New Orleans, and Lawrence and I taught for what was it, 2 days? Yeah, 2 full days of teaching and helping them build out their beginning funnels to start building their Black Expert empires. And we had people who did everything from leadership coaching to time management development, to motherhood training. So it was a wide gamut of different types of business, mostly coaching and service-based businesses. But man, the breakthroughs and the insights and the takeaways that came up for me, I learned from you. I was taking notes while you were on stage, and based on what all of the members shared with us, it was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting a lot of positive feedback regarding the event, and actually, I have a new course coming out called the Live Free Lifestyle, probably in the next couple of months or so. And I was going back through your presentation in terms of how to develop your origin story, how to develop your stories, and re-listening to that so that I can work on mine, because this will be the first course that I actually teach solo. Right.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
In terms of, how do you start a virtual type of business? How do you actually get up and move out of the country? Like, what are the steps necessary to kind of make that happen? Yeah. And, just I was learning as much as our students were, just, from you as you're up on stage dropping that knowledge. So we really appreciate you. And we can't wait to have more events like that here coming up, because this event was so successful, going this execution style in terms of the purposes over these 2 days. You're going to execute and leave this room with deliverables. We're going to be doing many more within the Black Business School here. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, 100%. We're trying to get beyond this just transfer of information, because people could listen to podcasts all day. Like, people in terms of the multifamily movement, people are joining the webinars, they're joining the mastermind and things of that nature in terms of building their real estate portfolio. And guess what? I tell them straight up, Bigger Pockets is out there. YouTube is out there. You can watch all the Grant Cardone that you want. You're not paying me for information for this mastermind. You're paying for me for the accountability to actually integrate and take action on the information. The truth will not set you free. It's acting on the truth that will set you free. So that's what my mastermind is really about. That's what the Black Expert, every mastermind I create, Black Expert Empire, the Freedom Family, multifamily movement, they're all about the action. The information is out there. You would have to piece it together. You'd have to put all the puzzle pieces together. Then you're gonna start hearing conflicting stuff. But what you're paying for is the accountability and the action and the integration, not just the information,
Yeah, I definitely do know, man. And it's really interesting because that's one of the things. So, as you know, we did a really big survey this week, asking our customer base in terms of, what they would like to see from the Black Business School and things that they, want us to see us do better, and the things that are really keeping them from their actual financial goals. And the word that they mentioned more than any other is accountability. So they said accountability. And
Whoops. Lawrence, I lost you. We lost you, man. All good. Let me message him real quick. We lost you. I don't know if I'm still live. Maybe you can hear him. Maybe I'm the one who's lost. Go to YouTube real quick. He's frozen on my end. He's frozen on my end. Yeah. All right. So Lawrence will come back, y'all. He's frozen on my end. With that, let's talk about today's topic. Today's topic is how to be free without being filthy rich. And so when I think about that, this is a very interesting one, because when it comes to freedom, a lot of people think that freedom means having like tons and tons and tons of money, and that will make you free. And I know a lot of people who actually have a lot of money but aren't free because their money or their income is directly tied to time, right? It's a time for money exchange, even at the high level that they may be operating at. And so, and then this idea that you have to be filthy rich, and that wealth is actually filthy. That's the other like programming that we have to shake, because it's not. You know, the Bible says it's the love of money that is the root of all evil, not money is the root of all evil. People like to interpret things and drop quotes out of, take things out of context, and that's not the truth. And so I've actually achieved freedom. I'm 100% free in terms of my time freedom. I can do whatever I want, when I want, how I want. In terms of my financial freedom, I've achieved that goal. And that's why I want to talk to you about that today. And yeah, so in terms of financial freedom, real quick, I got that definition from Robert Kiyosaki. And Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said, financial freedom is the moment where your passive income surpasses your cost of living, where your passive income surpasses your cost of living. Because if it's your passive income, that means you're not working for it. It's just coming in like clockwork. And this is why I built up my real estate portfolio, that those checks come in like clockwork every single month. And the aggregation of those checks is greater than my cost of living. So there's a couple ways to actually move towards financial freedom. First way is to actually decrease your cost of living. If your cost of living is only about $4,000 a month, then you could be free if you actually probably get maybe 3 duplexes. You have 6 rental units and you're living in one. You could actually be free probably off of that alone, right? But again, there's this imagery in our heads that you have to have like this extreme amount of wealth. You have to have like Mark Zuckerberg or Jay-Z, Beyonce type money to be free. And to be honest, I think those individuals feel free, but there's different brands of freedom. So some brands of freedom include kicking my feet up on the beach and doing absolutely nothing for the rest of my life, right? Just like not having to work. That's freedom for people. For some people, it's the ability to live out their purpose on a daily basis. Some people, it's the ability to travel. For some people, it's the ability to pursue their passions, or to do a career that isn't necessarily providing the most amount of money, but it's something that they absolutely love. Some people's definition of free is taking time out to serve and contribute and to free other people, right? Black Panther type freedom. So freedom comes in a variety of different ways, and you have to define what freedom is for you. But what I found on my journey to freedom and achieving that by the age of 35, I found that it does not require a ton of money to be free if you really understand the math and logistics of it. He's back. Man,
so I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
man. I had to restart my computer. I had to change my internet connection. I'm running my Wi-Fi hotspot at the moment.
It's all good, man. Hey, man, it's technology, man. But I was telling them about the title and how you know, it doesn't require breaking our mindset that rich means filthy rich, like that rich is dirty. I think we get this language that rich is actually dirty, and that's, I think, a program that we have to break. And then that you actually, freedom doesn't require like having Mark Zuckerberg, Jay-Z, Beyonce money, and that's what I think a lot of people are after, and they're missing out on the freedom that is actually closer than they even think. And what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, and actually, I've been thinking a lot about that because of NBA free agency.
Oh, yes.
Right? So, yeah, man, you see all of this money just flying around. You know, you got Kawhi Leonard making this amount of money. Then you have so-and-so signed a Supermax deal for $170 million. And somebody else signed another one for $220 million or whatever, $200 million.
Yeah.
But then some people are like, you know, they want to switch teams, and you hear these commentators always talk about, you know, how could that person leave $50 million on the table? But if you have $100 million, what's another $50 million going to mean to you? You know what I mean? In terms of the quality of your life, right? Yeah. It's going to make zero difference other than the fact that, you know, a person still values money at that particular, you know, point in time. And I think, one of the biggest concepts that I learned in economics was this concept of marginal return, where, you know, you calculate or you add up the value for each additional unit of something, right? So, the value of a person who has $0, you give them $1,000 to, is very different than a person.
Right.
If they had $1 million, you gave them $1 million and 1,000. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So like the value to that person is so different, right? So if you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, the marginal return for each additional dollar is going to be nothing, to your life, other than just a number to validate yourself. So if you don't care about that number, then why does it even matter? And that actually applies to us too, though, right? Because we think that we need all this money. If only I had X, Y, and Z, then I'll be happy. Right. If only I had that new truck, or if I only had that new computer, or if I only had, got out of student loan debt quicker, if I only did all of these different things to try to make us happier. But it's going to be just a hamster wheel, just a cycle that you're never going to be happy if you're always thinking if only for the next thing.
100%, 100%. In terms of NBA free agency and just sports in general, like we see these big numbers, but then you look at Colin Kaepernick, and he actually didn't even have the freedom to take a knee during the national anthem, right? Despite being a professionally paid football player, like you have so many restrictions on your life. Of course, in the off season, you might have a lot more freedom, but during the actual season, there's probably not that much breathing room. And so I'm excited in the NBA to see players actually taking their power and taking their control over their owners. Literally, they're called owners, right? And the players are navigating in the best players are navigating in a very powerful way, where they're like, I don't want to be here. I'm ready to move on. And imagine, that's like a Nat Turner, right? It's almost like a Nat Turner in a way. Like, I don't want to be here no more. I'm going over here, right? So I think it's powerful to see it happen in the NBA. Football, they just too many of them. They don't have that kind of power. And there's just many different types of freedom, right? There's financial freedom, there's time freedom, there's mental freedom. Do you own your own thoughts? Time freedom, do you own your own time? Financial freedom, do you own your own sources of income? Mobility freedom, are you able to move freely? There's people who are trapped in countries and can't move, right? There's people who are in jail right now, don't have mobility freedom. And the way I challenge people to think about freedom, especially time freedom, and especially those who are getting paid a lot, I say, how many of you could take one day off work without asking for permission and not having to worry about money? So a lot of people raise their hand. Okay, how many could take 3 days off work without having to ask for permission, answer to anyone, or worry about money? More hands go down. How many could take 7 days off work without asking for permission, without worrying about money? And you should see right then, Lawrence, hands just drop. Then how many of you could do a month? How many could do 3 months without having to ask permission, worry about money or anything like that? And just like flies. And these could be people who are literally making $250,000 a year, but their hands just drop because they only have one source of income, which is their job. And, I call it the entrepreneur reality. We're all already entrepreneurs. An employee is simply an entrepreneur with one big client. And regardless if that client is the only person paying you a lot, you actually you probably don't feel free, because just with the flick of the wrist, right? Somebody sign a document or don't like you one day, you could be starting all over.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very interesting, that you mentioned that, because I don't know. I think it goes back to why